I think what made it harder was because the Cahuilla tribe had their own dialect. Each clan had their own dialect. The three dialects, the Mountain Cahuilla dialect, which we speak now, and there was the Cahuilla dialect, was spoken by the Old Caliente Indian, the Hawnik dialect, which was spoken by the people here in the past. But they're all gone. Nobody taped the Cahuilla dialect, and nobody taped the Hawnik. So there's no one that knows language. Now it's gone. That dialect is gone. The only thing that we have, and we sing as the songs from the Cahuilla people, but we don't know what the songs are all about. And one of them is the bird song, because a lot of the bird songs are sung in the Cahuilla dialect. Some of it is done in the Cahuilla, the Mountain Cahuilla, and most of it is in ancient Cahuilla, which way back, which nobody knows anymore. That's why a lot of times we cannot interpret the bird songs. We perform that singing.
There were bird singers, there were peon singers, there were wake singers. You know, there were all three of them at that time. Part of bird singing. That's all we did, and from generation to generation.
What I was told is by several elders is that you have to come from a singing family. You have to have some kind of background of family members who were singers and things. And thankfully, you know, I come from a family like that.
Modern times?
Yes. Some people, you know, they tell you that we need to bring it back to the old ways, and some people say that we need to embrace the new ways. But what we kind of have now is everybody's learning the same style, and we didn't have that in the past. You know, each village had their own style. You know, different melodies, but the same words. As long as you got the words right, then you're doing it correct. As long as you're telling the story.
You find this out later, and that's why it's a shock to me to come over here and find out that there were actually natives out here that speak the language. How long do you think we've been here? We've been here longer than they thought.
They tried to make you forget your...
Yes, they all do that. Like when they do that with Indian schools, they teach you the outside ways, like how to work.
So they made them up as they like, right?
Yes, as they like. Here you see, here are the land that my family was displaced from. He's right, they make the maps the way they want to. That's Warner Springs, California. People were displaced and relocated to the Paula Reservation in California. It's kind of shocking, kind of really emotional for me to go and look at this footage and share it with you today. But this is where my family came from, this is where they're displaced from. There was another neighboring tribe next to us that got also relocated with us to Paula. I think we're one of the only very few tribal people that got relocated around that time in the early 1900s. This is what you see here.
Free land, or I know it's your land, but like
it's ours in trust. The government gives us they put us on reservations, and it's in trust. It's in trust, which means at any time, you know, if they really wanted to, they could just take it back from us.
Leave it up to me. Talk about Christopher Columbus.
That's the history books teach you is he was lost and looking around, and he came here, says he claimed this land, he discovered this land. It wasn't discovered, it was discovered by him. It was something new to him, but it was already here. Native people were already here. We already existed here. The schools only teach you what they want you to know. They don't tell you the truth about, you know, how bad the natives were treated, how the land was taken from them, how many millions and millions of acres were stolen from them, how they were displaced from their motherland of where their people had settled. The books don't teach you that. They're not allowed to.
We come from, my grandfather told me back in, when we came out of the ground in this area, and we went south that way, all the way down, we marched all the way down towards Chihuahua looking for our home. That's what he says. So when we got that far, we realized home was back where we came out of that ground, back right here in this area. So as we was going, we were learning bird songs. We was learning the songs from the trees. We were learning songs from the coyote. We were learning songs from the eagle. Learning songs from the bear. Learning songs from whatever animal. We learned all these songs. So we realized home was back here, so we turned around and came back. That's why they say the longest walk, we walked that way, we realized we had to come back. So as we came back, then you start separating, going this way and going that way. That's why we're related all over, because everybody went this way, everybody went that way, and the ones actually came back home. Everybody's got a different version of how they say we came and how we was born. That's how I believe what my grandfather told me, that's how we became of.
Become a singer, you're a singer. And if people ask you to sing, you're supposed to sing. Those are rules. That's your life. You choose it. Like people choose to become priests and they become celibate and they give up whatever. You pick up that rattle, it doesn't make you a singer. But if you go through the proper channels and you do what you have to do, you become a singer and you're a singer for life.
I had young singers that sang with me before, and they'd ask me, what are we singing about? And I tell them about the song that we're singing about. I tell them what it means. Because the songs that we sing are stories of our migrations. When we moved with the change of the weather, when it got too hot in our area, we'd try to find a cooler place to live.
The internet tapes and recordings, those things are good for a beginning to get you started to where you're supposed to be singing traditionally. And that's what this story is about, is those people telling that story of how you're supposed to be doing this. Others are telling the story about how their families have been inverted for a long time, for generations to generations, and how it's passed down to their kids.
They started powwows. That's when the public came out to see the culture itself of Indians in a powwow. Before powwows, there were fiestas, and fiestas were no cameras, not even outsiders to come in our gatherings, But once they opened up the powwows for the public, for people to come in, all different generations come in, and then now it's getting exposed. So today I can say, yeah, it's okay to film. Today it's okay to record. Today it's okay to take pictures, because the power that my grandfathers them had was sacred. The powers we got now exposed because everybody's moving in the same direction in a generation of living. Yes, I'm more than happy that you would like to come and join me and sing and learn these songs. Because who knows, I might go and you might have been singing with me for 4 or 5 years, at least you know maybe 10, 7 songs. You'll carry that on from there where you started from. Like I got 2 boys that when I step down, they're gonna step in my place, see? Because it's a family line. But not only that, but you be singing with me as I be singing, and if I step down, you stand in with them and sing with them. You follow them, But then if we're all gone, and you're the only one left, and you're the only one singing the songs, you're not gonna sit back and hold them back. You want to honor them to the people anyway. Once you get involved singing bird songs, that's your demand of doing what you do for the culture, not just for the culture, for the generations before us that passed on, that gave these songs to us to represent to the people.
Early 40s, there was a lot of singers, but in the 50s they started to die out, pass away, and a lot of the younger ones didn't keep up the traditions.
My father, Anthony Andreas, he was raised, he knew birds as a youngster, but then when he got older, he kind of went off track, and then he came back to it. And once he came back to it, he felt the need to, that it was going to be disappearing, and that somebody needed to step up and bring it back. And so that's what he did.
when you talk about things and your songs and stuff, it comes from your heart. You have a lot of meaning to it.
As generation to generation to generation, eventually it came out because once they started powwows, that's when the public came out to see the culture itself.
They need to be in good standing, and they need to be a tribal member to represent our tribe.
You couldn't mix the sacred and the secular. Cause trouble. And the honorable thing to notice, I think people could have taken advantage and sung the wrong things in the wrong places to get prestige or something.
Then years later, we were at a rodeo, and my dad heard some singing, and it was the men from Arizona singing bird songs. And he got so emotional about it that he remembers those songs, and that, you know, he didn't hear them anymore back home. And here he was hearing them here, that he decided, you know, somebody's got to do something about this, and he learned them. He got permission from the Potencio family, and he learned them. And then he taught them to us.
The young want to learn them. That's very important. They want to dance to these songs. And this is the only link they have to their traditional past, is the bird songs. And that's why I think it's lasted this long, because there was a need for identification, to identify with something of their past. They didn't want to be known as Indians just in name only. They wanted to have something from the past. And that's what these bird songs are doing, is binding the young together. Each generation, there seems to be a desire to learn and to partake in these bird songs.
Not just anybody can just go out and represent our tribe, even if they're descendants.
What I'm showing you is bird singing, the bird dance, by people that do it, by the family members that support the people that sing, the tribal members that sing for a tribe. There are also other bird singers and other families and other tribes that are nearby us around the Cahuilla area. Over here in the Cahuilla area, they're called Hawniks. They used to be called that in the past. This is a story about head bird singers and their families and what they do to support this bird culture and how it to continue. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being here for this presentation.